And bright suns, travelers.
All right, sons, everyone, welcome in.
Welcome in. It's so great to see everybody. We've got Adventures by Day in the chat, and I know we're going a little bit early today, so we'll probably have some more people join a little bit later. But thanks for being here, Dave. We appreciate it. We're going into episode 6 of the Book of Boba Fett, and I'll have to say 5 and 6 are like most people, I think they're my favorite. What about you, William?
I haven't seen 7 yet, but I would say so. It definitely, which it's really strange to say because that's it's the show's called Book of Boba Fett, but
Right.
5 and 6 are the episodes where he's featured the very least. So
yes.
So it's.
I think it well, and I think too. It just kind of heats up. They put a lot of our favorite characters in these 2 episodes.
You've got to build. You got to build whenever you're doing a show. So they can't give you everything up front. So you've got to hang in there for the story.
Right. Well, and the Mandalorian, kind of started off with a bang, but it was a little slower in the beginning. So
yeah.
This one has a runtime of 47 minutes, and it's entitled "From the Desert Comes a Stranger," which I absolutely love. That's my favorite title so far.
That's great.
I love the totally Western, feel that this series has, and the Mandalorian as well.
Yeah.
Hey Pam, welcome in.
Good to see welcome you. In.
Oh, Baker. Hey, thanks for.
Nice. Welcome in.
Appreciate it. Daryl, well, thanks, dudes and non-dudes. Welcome, Daryl. It's good to have you.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks. Adventures by Day. Yeah, William's Jedi robes are pretty impressive. And Pam, it's always good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. And Baker, thanks so much for popping in.
Yeah, I'm about to say, dropping in to say hi, sneaking around in the park.
Sneaking
That's
around
exciting.
the park. That's the good thing to be doing. I wish I was with you.
That's where I'd rather be. No doubt about that.
Exactly. Let's see. I don't know that we have necessarily, any announcements. I think we ought to just jump right into this.
Yeah, let's get going.
Yeah. So again, this is chapter 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger. It aired on February 2nd. And, chapter 5, to review it just briefly, this chapter 5 introduced Boba Fett again to us. He comes into the story again. Really cool opening scene there in the meat processing plant where he's
trying to recover. Mando, not Boba.
I said, what did I say, Boba?
I think you said Boba.
Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Mandalorian, opens. Mandalorian is after Cabo Baez, who, he's gone back to bounty hunting. He has to kill Cabo Baez, but he does return to his client to hand him his head in a bag, essentially. Yep. Finds the Mandalorian covert. The client, tells him where the Mandalorian covert is, which is obviously his price for this bounty. There are some really cool scenes there. He's reunited with at that point with the armorer. Has the the challenge from Paz Vizsla for the Darksaber. That whole scene was really interesting. Lots of good information there. He ends up heading to Tatooine and refurbs a Naboo starship with Peli Motto, so now he has transportation. And at the end of that show, Fennec Shen shows up at the mechanic shop and asks Din Djarin for help.
Yeah,
and with their problem with the Pike Syndicate on Tatooine, and Mando agrees. But he says, but first, I need to pay a visit to a little friend.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how we kind of open into chapter 6.
Yeah, it sets the scene very well. So opening, we're on, and at the opening, we're there on Tatooine. Kind of looks like a moisture farm. It's got those, interesting little structures up. We see pipe guards, and it looks like they may have a Camtono of credits.
Mm-hmm.
And so their plan is to leave the spice and take the credits back to Mos Eisley. And then we see a character from the past, and it is Cobb Vanth, the Marshal of Mos Pelgo. So yeah, very, very excited to see him come back into the story. He approaches them. He's got his hand on his blaster. He lets them know this is his territory. And he's like, and the dialogue there is kind of funny. He says, "In Mos Eisley, anything goes."
Right.
But he tells them
Great.
They can leave. No laws have been broken as far as he stands. He doesn't see what's in their chest. But anyway,
he hasn't looked.
Yeah. And so anyway, he says they can go, scot free.
He does.
And he gives them that option, but they decline.
He warns them, his line is think it through, if you want to go for those blasters, you need to think it through. There are 4 of them.
Yeah.
And, I think, Cobb Vanth is just a great Western hero to me.
Yeah.
He has that feel. He carries it off really well. Very strong character. Love Timothy Oliphant in this role. But he confronts them. He knows they're running spies. He tells them, you need to go back to your syndicate and tell them, that Mos Pelgo is not open for business.
Yeah.
We are not, most definitely not open for business. You're not going to run spies through here. And so, he really takes a stand, even without the armor. He knows his place and gives them a choice. Tells them, if you go for those guns, you better think it through.
Yeah. And welcome in, Garrett.
Oh, hey, Garrett, welcome in. And one of them, says, well, the spice is worth more than your town.
Yeah.
I don't think, Vance says, well, maybe I'll retire. The dialogue is excellent here.
Yeah.
And he gives them a chance. They are not smart enough to take it, but he does give them a chance.
So Pam asked why the spice is so important. It's basically drugs. Mm-hmm. It's basically, smuggling drugs is pretty much the Star Wars equivalent. So that's why, and that also explains why Cobb Vanth doesn't want it in Mos Pelgo.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he says he's heard of the syndicate. He said, take their credits back with them. And he says it with respect. He said, if anyone gets lost running spice in through Mos Pelgo, will be lost forever. So big talk. He said, now unload your chest and go. Consider it a fine for trespassing. And so anyway, it's probably, I'm assuming he wanted to confirm that spice is what it was. And that way he could probably what he ends up basically doing exactly what he does and disposing of it properly.
Mm-hmm. But he shoots 3 of them. He draws on 3 of them and shoots them immediately. Tells the 4th one, you go back and you tell, deliver this message to the syndicate, and makes him unload the chest, which he unceremoniously, opens and lets it fly off. Lets all those drugs fly
Tatooine desert
into the sand, and so you really root for Cobb Vanth, right? I love his hero status.
He's kind of your noble sheriff of the town.
He is, and he's great at it. He's great at it. So,
but yeah, he runs off the final pike that is able to escape with his life and the Camtono. And
he thinks it through and decides against challenging Cobb Vanth and Marshall.
And so Cobb Vanth does a little blaster spin and holsters his blaster, which was fancy, very Western-esque.
Yes.
Dumps out the spice, like we said, kicks over the chest, opens up, kicks it over, dumps the spice out. We see Mando's N1 Starfighter fly through space, and it lands on a heavily wooded, very green planet. And we see right off the bat a radar spinning, and it's connected to none other than the icon R2D2.
Yeah,
so that was really exciting.
We see, we just see them introduce guys, character after character,
Yeah,
that we love in this, and bring them all back together, and you just keep thinking, who's next?
yeah,
And it's really a lot of fun.
yeah.
It's really a lot
So
of fun.
Mando lands next to R2, and Mando greets him. Hello, friend. I'm looking for Skywalker. And I think it's funny how Mando refers to Luke and how Luke refers to Mando Din Djarin. It's definitely not a first name basis. I mean, obviously they have it. It's not like they're good buddies or anything. Their interactions have been incredibly brief. But he says, "I'm looking for Skywalker. I came to see the kid Grogu."
Right. But when he sees R2, he says, "Hello, friend."
Yeah.
Which I thought was really sweet. He obviously doesn't know R2's name, but he says, "Hello, friend." So he, identifies himself and tries to establish, a good rapport immediately.
Yeah.
It's neat.
We see kind of a bamboo forest that work their way through. We see these ant droids that look kind of almost like 3 garden droids that are connected with legs and jaws. So they really look like, big robotic ants. And they're stacking rocks. We're speculation, obviously, which later is confirmed. They're constructing what's the equivalent of a new Jedi temple, for Luke's academy. R2D2 shuts himself off and stops taking questions from Mando.
Yes.
The ant droids set up a bench with some of the rocks. They set the rocks over and set some bamboo on top to set up a little bench for Mando to sit on. So he takes a seat and he waits.
And they even put leaves on top of it.
Yeah, a little bit of cushion. So apparently it's going to be a little bit before he's able to see anybody. We get some scenic shots of the planet. Grogu sitting and meditating with Luke. Grogu is distracted by a frog, and he catches it in the air with the Force and tries to drop it in his mouth. And Luke kind of admonishes Grogu a little bit, and the frog gets away.
It's a one-eyed frog, by the way.
Yeah.
You caught that it only has one eye, which I thought was funny.
And Luke, and then, after he kind of gets onto Grogu for, being distracted, Luke lifts and turns his hand and lifts all the frogs in the area.
Yeah. Out of the lake. They all just kind of up out of the lake. So
they're just kind of, floating there, kicking, helplessly in the air. And just a little display of Luke's power. And Grogu gets excited about it, and then Luke, kind of drops them all back down into their little swampy area. And then Luke says, "All right, let's go for a walk." And I think it's really funny and cute in this scene because if you've ever had a toddler, their legs are only so long, and so I think it's really funny how as we see Luke and Grogu walking together, Grogu's able to take a few steps at a time, and Luke keeps pushing him forward, like lifting him with the Force. And so it's like, it's really funny. And so then they go into a conversation. I kind of thought of from a parent standpoint of sometimes, your kid wants to walk and you're like, all right, speed up. And so Luke's able to push Grogu forward with the Force. But Luke tells Grogu, I want to tell you about someone you remind me of a great deal. His name was Yoda. He was small like you, but his heart was huge, and the Force was strong in him. He once said to me, size matters not. That's how he talked.
Yeah,
he would speak in riddles. Have you heard anyone talk like that back home? Do you remember back home? Would you like to remember? Let me help you remember. And so he puts his hand on Grogu's head, and we get a flashback. Hey, welcome in, Kevin.
Appreciate you being here. Yeah, he and this is, a lot happens in this episode, guys, with Grogu has the flashback where he puts his, Luke puts his hand on his head. It's just very tender. I love the way Luke deals with Grogu.
Yeah.
He's
and so
very
previously,
tender.
from his interaction with Ahsoka, we know that Grogu's kind of shut himself off from his past.
Yes.
Probably as a coping mechanism. But it doesn't seem like he really recalls much at all, if anything, of his past, really.
Ahsoka, I think Ahsoka refers in the episode of The Mandalorian. She says his memory is dark after a certain part. It's dark, so he has pushed it further down. Well, and probably self-defense mechanism for himself.
Repressed the memory.
Anybody else who might figure out who he is.
Yeah. But we see, of course, kind of an infamous scene. Grogu's there, which, I'm assuming it's the Jedi Temple in Coruscant. And we see Order 66 is being executed. The Jedi are trying to defend themselves against the stormtroopers, but their numbers are too many.
Yeah.
And then we see Grogu kind of come back to. Obviously he's scared in that scene, and that's kind of all we get there. And I've seen
the clones advance on him after there are 3 Jedi. The clones, take them down, and Grogu is behind them, and the clones then advance on Grogu, and then the scene ends at that point. Like he really doesn't want to remember anymore, but he's very scared. And at that point, he was probably really, really young, much younger than he is now, I would think.
He was 50 in episode 1 of The Mandalorian. And so, if you live 900 years, then
50 years is
50. Yeah, he's like a 5-year-old basically. But let's see here. So there's been a little bit of speculation on how Grogu would have survived Order 66. And it seems like most people kind of say that there's a good chance that it could have been one of the Jedi librarians that did it. Maybe
somebody hid him. Ahsoka did tell us somebody hid him. Somebody hid Grogu, but then at some point he was taken from the temple, and so we don't know how all that came about. But
so what is it?
You want to explain Order 66 just a little bit, hun?
Well, I mean, it's we see it in Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3, where Emperor Palpatine says, "Execute Order 66." He gives the order. And the stormtroopers, we come to find out the clones have inhibitor chips in their head, and because that's how they were pretty much manufactured there on Camino, and so it was meant to be a control mechanism, and so by saying those words, that gets them automatically to turn on their Jedi. And so, that's why we see, Jedi that had close relationships with, or even clones that have, very close relationships with their Jedis, they turn on them. We see that with Commander Cody. And you kind of see that unpacked a bit more in the Clone Wars animated series.
Yeah, very much so.
So it kind of fills in the gray area for you, for anybody that's interested in finding out more about that. It's in the later seasons. Thanks for dropping in, Brian K. But yeah, so there's Jocasta Nu was a Jedi Temple librarian. So could be a fair chance that maybe she was one of the ones that potentially could have rescued Grogu and smuggled him out, but. But anyway, so obviously a very dark memory of something that Grogu has, repressed. But also too, considering that he is so young, I mean, you're inevitably, some of your memory fades over time.
Right.
At least the humans. I don't know how it works with Grogu's species, but but it's definitely that way for us, obviously.
Right.
Let's see here. Sorry. So Grogu comes back too. He's there with Luke, overlooking the lake. Luke says, "Welcome back. The galaxy is a dangerous place, Grogu." At which I was thinking, well, no, no CRAP, Luke. I've been rolling with Mando for the last however long, and I've seen exactly how dangerous firsthand the galaxy can be.
Exactly.
Through my own adventures.
Exactly.
But Luke tells him, "I'll teach you to protect yourself." R2 turns himself back on. Mando wakes up and immediately points his blaster at none other than Ahsoka Tano.
Yes.
So mom's got her ears on there.
Ahsoka Tano today.
But
again,
but pretty cool. I was hoping, I was hoping that we would see some level of interaction between Ahsoka and Luke, and it would be interesting to know what and obviously I doubt we'll get this unless it's potentially in the Ahsoka show.
I don't know. We might.
I would love to see conversations happen between them. Kind of Ahsoka sharing old war stories of her her adventures with Obi-Wan and Luke, and also Luke saying letting her know that in the end Anakin kind of came back, overtook the Darth Vader portion of himself and kind of came back too.
I would love to see that interaction. I think a lot of the fans would. Jon Favreau is good at knowing what we want, so we might really get that at some point. It's we have to assume obviously that Ahsoka has, or that Luke has shared that information with Ahsoka, so that she knows that her.
If anything, too, I was thinking, granted, she's, she no longer considers herself a Jedi.
Right.
I think that initial, I would love to see an initial kind of meeting between the two.
Right.
Because, as far as Luke knows, he's the last Jedi,
That's true.
And granted, Ahsoka doesn't consider herself a Jedi anymore, but she's got lightsabers and she's not a Sith.
Yeah,
so
she's obviously still in some way connected to the Jedi religion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
she's kind of a step back from it due to circumstances that happened in an episode or two of the Clone Wars that you can go back and check that out.
And so Ahsoka says, quote, I'm an old friend of the family, which I thought was a great quote. And she puts her head on R2, which, anybody who's, made their way through the Clone Wars animated series would appreciate this moment, knowing all that both R2 and Ahsoka have been through, together, in their adventures, and obviously after they split as well.
Just a lot of emotion in this. I feel like they did a good job of conveying all that emotion. Just tons of it. I mean, I was very nostalgic, as I watched it. I watched this episode probably 4 times already, just to try and soak up all of the small facial expressions, nuances, but and the interaction between these characters is really good. So don't just gloss over it. Soak it in, Star Wars fans. It's good stuff.
So Mando says, "I thought you weren't going to help train Grogu." She says, Ahsoka says, "I'm not. Master Luke is."
Interesting conversation.
Yeah. And also too, her acknowledging, Luke as being a Jedi Master, that's not a throwaway term. Like that's a rank you have to earn.
It is.
And so Amanda says, "Then what are you doing here?" Ahsoka says, "That's my question for you." And Mando tells her, "I'm here to see the kid."
So obviously R2, instead of taking Din Djarin to see Grogu, he's brought him to Ahsoka instead. So R2 standing guard there, kind of a go-between, and
Yeah.
Ahsoka's kind of running interference, and we'll see in the conversation, a little bit later why she does that. She's obviously there visiting Luke, and when Mando shows up, he has some legitimate questions as to, hey, why are you here? He's very surprised to see her. So yeah, they have.
Yeah. She says that's why R2 brought you to me instead.
Right.
And Mando asks what this place is, and Ahsoka says it's nothing now, but someday it will be a great school. She says Grogu will be its first student. Mando wants to know how Grogu is doing. Ahsoka says he's doing fine. Mando wants to see him, and Ahsoka says, I know, and suggests they take a walk.
Now, I would like to say, I love how Rosario Dawson, excuse me, portrays Ahsoka, but this interaction, Ahsoka is never sharp with Mando. She
not at
totally, especially because of the Force. She understands completely. She empathizes, and probably that's not even a strong enough word, because she understands through the Force. She can feel how they feel about each other. So she is never, she's never sharp with him. She's never rude to him. You need to leave, leave the kid alone. He's fine. You're going to distract him. No. That's not how she goes about this at all. Go ahead.
Yeah. That's a great point. And she reminds him, she says, I warned you when we met that your attachment would be difficult for Grogu to let go of. And Mando says, he was a Mandalorian foundling in my care. I just want to make sure he's safe.
Again with the feels, guys. Get a box of tissues.
And Ahsoka says, there's no place in the galaxy more safe than here with Luke, which isn't that the truth? But let's see here. Mando says, I don't understand why you're all right with Skywalker's decision to train the kid when you wouldn't. To which Ahsoka says it was his choice, being Luke's. She doesn't control the wants of others, which is what, which is why, part of the reason why, she's been so patient when, and allowing Mando to, do.
Okay, question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When she says it was his choice, does she mean it was Luke's choice or
Grogu's choice? Yeah, that's a valid point.
Because when she tells Mando that she will not train Grogu, she hadn't met Luke yet.
Yeah.
So she hadn't, we don't know that she was in contact with Luke. I think she meant that it was Grogu's choice. I think there was some conversation that went on with them. Yeah. And, she said, and she kind of explained to him, okay, her situation, I'm not a master, I'm not a teacher, but there is a great teacher who can, I think she means that it's Grogu's choice.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. That's a really good point. And so, she says she doesn't control the wants of others. And Mando,
that's kind of a bomb for us. That's kind of a big information bomb, because we didn't know that until now.
Well, too, we do get that, that scene where Grogu ends up going with Luke at the end of Mandalorian season 2. Right. And so, it makes sense. Like, granted, Mando's trying to complete his mission. So, he's trying to reunite Grogu with his kind, but at the same time, he does have that emotional connection to Grogu. And so,
which is why he removes his helmet.
Yeah, exactly. And so
that gives you an idea how much he loves this kid.
Yeah.
He actually removes his helmet, which is against Mandalorian creed completely.
Yeah. And Mando says, then it's my choice to go and see him. Ahsoka obliges. They take a look at Grogu and Luke and on a hill in the distance. And Ahsoka asks Mando, are you doing this for Grogu, or are you doing this for yourself? But Mando wants to give him the Beskar from that spelted spear of the magistrate. And Ahsoka asks why, and Mando says that so Grogu will remember it.
At this point, we still don't know what it is.
Yeah.
The gift.
And so we just know it's something smelted from Beskar. Which again, I guess with the rings falling, which it's validated later in this episode. With the rings falling, it was indeed chainmail. Itty bitty little chainmail outfit. But Mando says, as a Mandalorian foundling, he should have this. It's his right. And so, Ahsoka then questions him to say, is Grogu a foundling or a Padawan now?
Yeah.
And
so it's almost like Ahsoka is, as Mando is thinking through this, it's almost like Ahsoka is guiding him through this thought process.
Yeah.
Well, is he a foundling or is he now a Padawan?
Yeah.
She's trying to gently help him understand that Grogu is in a different place, and that, seeing him is going to kind of upset his apple cart, because it's going to, it's going to give him, it's going to remind him of all the attachments that he has to Mando. So, but she's being very, very diplomatic and gentle about it. And I love that.
And you really think back to a lot of this, this whole thing with attachment and everything. A lot of this, and even thinking of Anakin, whenever Qui-Gon loses the fight to, which I'm going way off on a tangent here, but when Qui-Gon loses the fight with Darth Maul, and Qui-Gon dies, that completely changes the trajectory of Obi-Wan and Anakin's journey with the Force. There was a reason that Qui-Gon was not on the Jedi Council. It's because Qui-Gon had, I guess, kind of a different understanding than the traditional understanding of the Force. And of
the prophecies.
Yeah, and of prophecies. As well. And so, it completely changes
about the chosen one,
the trajectory.
That's true. That's true.
Of the story, for Jedi as well. I mean, and the other thing that I was thinking about too was at the end of this episode. Well, I'll wait to bring it up then.
Okay. Well, along those same lines, William, I'm thinking about recall what Ahsoka told Mando when he asked her to train him, and she said, "There is much fear in him. I cannot train him." And he says, "Why not?" And she says, "Because I have seen what it can do to even a fully trained Jedi."
Yeah.
Referring to Anakin, of course. So to be filled with fear, Grogu was still filled with fear. I mean, after all this time, because of all the trauma that he endured when Order 66 happened, he's still very fearful. He's still living in fear. And Ahsoka says, that's not a good thing for a Jedi. And she's thinking, of course, of Anakin. So the whole, the emotion.
That's probably
thing,
part of the reason Luke's kind of re-exposing Grogu to some of these old memories, is so that he can actually confront them.
Yes.
Versus it just being repressed and being something that could be drawn out potentially by a Sith later on in his journey.
Exactly. Well, it was Anakin's fear of losing Padme. That really drove him to the dark side, because he thought that power from the dark side could save her. And so, Ahsoka's seen that firsthand. Wow. That those attachments again.
And so Mando says, well, either way, this armor will protect him, which I was thinking, I was like, I granted the armor comes from Mando, but I was like, it's armor. Like, who could use a little armor, is it really that big of a deal?
Armor.
Is that really that big of a deal to let the kid, wear the armor? So anyway, Mando looks at them in the distance. Ahsoka says she'll deliver it. The little bag that had been tied up kind of looked like Grogu's head. And so if Mando sat on it, she says, I'll deliver it. Mando says he came all this way, and Grogu isn't that far from them.
And he can see him sitting there with Luke. He can see him on the hill sitting there. And, but she gives him the choice. She doesn't say you can't see him.
Yeah.
Or she never says you shouldn't see him.
Yeah.
She just talks him through and lets him make his own choice. And he does.
And
So
Ahsoka even
that's-
walks up and puts her hand on Mando's shoulder and lets him know that Grogu misses him a great deal. But
does.
and kind of informs him that seeing Din Djarin would only make things more difficult for Grogu in his training. So Mando hands over the armor bag to Ahsoka, tells her to make sure he's protected, looks at him once more, very, very much longingly, and then he leaves. We see we get a shot of Grogu on Luke's back, kind of reminds us reminiscent of Yoda.
Oh, totally.
And Grogu sees the ship leave and kind of reaches out towards it. And then we get into a training sequence. Luke says, "All right, it's time to continue your training. Let's see you jump." And he does like the world's most pathetic little jump. And Luke says, "Really? That's all you've got?" Bend down, jump, and as you do, feel the force flow through you. He says, "You're trying too hard. Don't try. Do."
Which is very Yoda-esque.
Yeah, very Yoda-esque. Come on, I want to see you.
Try.
He says, "I want to show you something." So Luke runs and jumps through the forest. Very reminiscent of
with the Yoda
training with the Yoda
on his back.
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent.
Jumps off some bamboo stumps and jumps off of a little water beast thing and climbs a bamboo chute and looks at the mountains in the distance and says, and we get the da 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 da. And get kind of the Force music there.
Okay.
And Luke tells him, "Look, the wild world exists in balance." Hey, welcome in, Lisa. Keep the Joey. He says the wide world exists in balance. Feel the Force all around you. Through the Force, you will find balance as well. And the other thing I was thinking about too.
That's a great scene. As they look, and the camera, faces them, and as Luke, looks out, he kind of closes his eyes and tells him to feel the Force, and Grogu closes his eyes, and it's just this really neat little, connecting scene with both of them, with their eyes closed, feeling the Force. It's a great scene, dynamic scene.
We get Grogu on a log. The next scene they cut to is Grogu on a log over the water. Luke tells him to concentrate. He stands on one leg and kind of slips a little bit, falls down. Luke says to use the Force. Grogu slowly starts to look less off balanced, and then you see Luke, shows off a little bit of lightsaber skill, swinging the lightsaber while Grogu balances on the bamboo chute. Luke shows, and the next scene I think is really funny. Luke, so I watched this at like 2:00 in the morning, and so it was even funnier for me because I was exhausted. But Luke shows Grogu the training remote, just like the one we see Obi-Wan, used to train Luke with on the Falcon.
Yes,
in A New Hope.
Immediately recognize it.
And so Grogu rolls the ball, and Luke turns it on with the Force, and then goes up in the air and does the
same noise,
as it kind of shifts, and it turns on, and it blasts Grogu and knocks it down. And I was laughing so hard. Luke tells him get up. Always
Luke
get back
doesn't
up.
warn him. It's kind of this. He kind of shifts into Big Brother.
It's trial by fire.
Yeah,
it's trial by fire, no doubt. And here's the other thing I was going to say, and I mentioned this to you on the phone after I watched this episode. I guarantee Luke has been waiting to pass this down ever since Obi-Wan used it on him, so he could give him the Big Brother treatment. I know that's not the Jedi way, but part of me wants to believe that's exactly why he uses this training method with Grogu.
It's a human thing, and it's like okay. Yeah, he just needs to go through this. This is something he needs to experience. It's training.
It's a rite of passage.
It is. It's a rite of passage. It's kind of like the Big Brother, with the little brother.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Plenty of things that Steven, Steven messed with me about, and then I was able to pass it right on down to Adam. So, as the middle brother in the family, That's
Well, I'm the
I
baby in
can
my
relate.
family, so I
Yeah,
got all the. I got
nice.
all the
Yeah,
Susan, yeah, Susan, we can have a conversation about that, but
but
that
Grogu is a
makes
quick learner. He's a quick study. He backflips out of the way of the next blast.
yeah,
Much
yeah, he
better
learns
than
quick. You're a
Yeah,
quick
much
learner.
better than the little weak jump that we saw him do earlier. And Luke praises him. He says, "Very good."
Nothing like a little motivation.
Yeah,
Proper
a
motivation.
lot of fire under him. Um, but and we see more of Grogu dodging fire while he's jumping from rock to rock over water. So
Yeah,
very impressive.
yeah.
Um,
He picks
very
it up quickly.
acrobatic, much like we saw Yoda.
Yeah,
Whenever he got into a couple of fights with Dooku and then with the Emperor.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but and the other thing I was thinking about too was, why didn't they give Grogu better clothes for this? Like I know this is off
Same
topic,
thing.
but I was like, you got him jumping around in that little potato sack outfit. I was like, give him some tiny Jedi robes.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yoda always wore the Jedi robes.
yeah,
But
and
he's
so
not a
that was
Jedi yet. But
yeah.
is there such a thing as like little Grogu workout pants or
I mean, something. My goodness, they got him jumping around in a little potato sack outfit, and
with the collar of
yeah, my goodness, that's yeah. But anyway, that's an aside. And they could have sold some more Funko Pops of Grogu in this other training
There
outfit.
you go,
So
in the different outfit.
there you go.
I've never seen the kid in another outfit. The kid needs
Exactly.
another outfit. John, I know you're watching.
Yeah.
The kid needs another outfit. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah. John and Dave. Pencil it in for the next time we see Grogu. So yeah, Grogu uses the Force. We see him training. Grogu uses the Force to bring down the training remote, drops it into the water. I'm sure he was glad to be done with that thing.
Yeah, he's like, I'm kind of tired of you.
And
it falls into the water. It's like,
and Ahsoka says that Luke's taught him well. They're both watching.
Yeah, Ahsoka approaches on
and so we finally get to see those two on screen together, which is exciting. Luke says it's more like he's remembering than I'm actually teaching him anything.
Daryl?
Yeah, there you go.
Something, right? Something. That's
Ahsoka says sometimes the student guides the master, which her, being Anakin's Padawan, she gets that. And Luke says the Mandalorian was here, which he refers to him as the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Versus Din Djarin or Mando, he calls him the Mandalorian. Ahsoka says she told him that the two share a strong bond, and he brought him a gift, and Luke takes the bag.
Yeah. Could I just say here, seeing Ahsoka and Luke together was like, for me. It was, their interaction, the obvious affection, and Rosario Dawson carries. Rosario Dawson is really good at conveying Ahsoka's emotions.
Yeah.
Well, she has,
which is great because so many people wanted Ashley Eckstein to do the voice of Ahsoka to play Ahsoka in live action. And so I can definitely appreciate that she does such a great job acting.
Exactly. Does. She kind of proves herself as Ahsoka. She has her eyes are very expressive. She has the little smirks and the smiles. She's very good at playing Ahsoka. She really is.
Luke says sometimes I wonder if his heart is in it, and Ahsoka says, so much like her father,
which just gets you right here. Just like a shot to the heart. It was like, there's so much history here, guys. If you have not watched the Clone Wars, then you're not. There's no way really for you to pick up on the emotion, in a lot of these scenes. But there is so much there, and so many of her lines and her interaction, with Luke, is just really, man. It's just a lot of emotion, for Star Wars fans. Good job, John and Dave.
Yeah. And this is a character, we don't ever see her in the animated or in the live action, prequel trilogy, and so, for them to bring her in, and and those of us that have watched the animated Clone Wars series, bring her in and bring her to life, and be able and still, get us to feel that emotion. Is really a testament to how well written the characters are, and also to just the whole crew, just well done.
It is.
But
It is.
Luke wonders what to do about Grogu, and Ahsoka tells him trust your instincts. And Luke
So Luke
asks,
is feeling a lot of this conflict, with it. He feels the fear, he feels the conflict, he feels the attachment and the longing to see Mando. He can, Luke can feel all of that. I mean, this kid is complicated, guys. This kid is a ball of emotion. And Luke is questioning at this point, I don't know whether his heart is in it.
Yeah.
And Ahsoka says, trust your instincts with him. And so we see how that plays out later.
Again, Ahsoka letting people make their own decisions. Not
with some counsel, little nudging, some comments, but never.
Very much. Very much Jedi-esque as well.
Yes, yes, and very wise. Ahsoka. I guess that's. I'll really the more I learn about Ahsoka and the more they flesh her out, and the more I see her. I have always loved Ahsoka ever since you urged me to watch the Clone Wars. I've loved her character from the minute she was introduced. I thought she was, her species was interesting. At the minimum, her species was interesting, but her character in development through the Clone Wars, and now in the Mandalorian, and now in Boba Fett, the more we see of her, the more I like her. I love Ahsoka, guys.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to get more Ahsoka content in the Ahsoka show. So
it's coming.
I'm hoping we get a flashback or two, because I would love to see them, to a degree. It would be a bit of a retcon, but I would love to see them throw us a couple of flashbacks potentially of her with Obi-Wan and Anakin, potentially. Maybe just one or two to kind of fill in the blanks.
Right.
But anyway, so Ahsoka decides, Ahsoka's heading out. She's going back on her journey, which again, reminder, she's trying to look for Grand Admiral Thrawn. As her mission at this point. Mission.
Yeah, that's
and they don't mention that here, but that's what she was doing in that episode of The Mandalorian
with Sabine Wren. She and Sabine Wren teamed up to try and
find
Rebels too. Rebels, to try and find a Grand Admiral Thrawn. So she's returning to that. She stopped in to see Luke, and now she's probably returning to that quest.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Luke asks if he'll see Ahsoka again, and she says perhaps. She says, "May the Force be with you." And Ahsoka goes on her way. The next thing we cut to is the Naboo N1 starfighter in space that Mando's new hot rod, and it heads
which is pretty cool, I might add.
It's sick. Welcome in, my backyard science. Welcome in, Dennis.
Oh, hey, my backyard science. Welcome in, guys. Thanks for being here.
It's a sweet ride.
That is a sweet ride. It's interesting that Cobb said something. Cobb was impressed with it too. When he saw it, is that a new Naboo starfighter? Yeah. It's a hot rod.
Yeah. So it's a classic as well.
It is. So. Yeah. It's like a Corvette or something. It's like seeing an old Corvette from the '60s. Everybody goes, "Ooh, wow."
The Mando tells the Gamorrean, so he lands. Yeah, episode 6 today. Yeah, sorry, we started a little earlier because I've got a 1:00 meeting for my real job, but anyway, so Mando tells the Gamorrean guard that Fennec Shan sent him. Mando follows the guard. we see a briefing taking place. We got Boba, the Gamorreans, Chrysanthemum, the mod speeder gang, and the mayor's major domo. And so there's this hologram briefing, kind of looking at the city. Phoenix says the Pike Syndicate has been gathering forces the last few weeks. Mayor Monk Shaiz is on their payroll and has flown off-world, to which the mayor's major domo says it was a scheduled vacation. He just has to interject. He can't help himself. It's like, man, no, you read the room. Like,
shut up.
Yeah. But anyway.
And that's funny because the Gamorrean grunts at him and it gotta, like, go back to your corner.
Yeah.
It's funny.
And so we see, Phoenix says the three other families seem to be content letting the Pikes move in on Boba's territory. We've got Din Djarin, we've got Chrysanthemum as the muscle and enforcers. We got the mods surveying the streets, but we still lack the numbers to cover the territory. If an all-out war comes, they need foot soldiers. And Mando says, I may be able to help with that. He walks into the room there. And so next thing we see is Mando back in his starfighter. He was there for a hot minute, and there he goes on his way again.
Right.
And he flies over, the sands of Tatooine. See the Jawa sandcrawler going over the sands of Tatooine with the crate dragon skull on top.
Yeah, the flyover there. Yeah, with the crate dragon skull strapped to the hood, so to speak. And the Jawas get real excited when they see that. Yeah, they're making their own noises. It's pretty cool.
Mando flies. He flies his Naboo N1 starfighter and heads out to Mos Pelgo from Chapter 9 of The Mandalorian again. We saw the Marshal at the beginning of this episode, Cobb Vanth. But Mando lands his ship, and he's greeted by a new character.
Yes.
Which turns out to be Cobb Vanth's deputy. So the Marshal has a deputy now.
Right.
The deputy kind of leaves begrudgingly a little bit. He kind of, he's like, you can't land there.
It's kind of funny, because Mando lands and he comes out and says, you can't park that here, buddy.
Yeah,
you gotta
exactly.
Gotta park it out in the flats.
Yeah.
And Mando very diplomatically says, I heard you. I heard what you said. Not that it's gonna make any difference, but I heard what you said.
Like you don't know who you're talking to, bud.
Right. But with whom you deal.
Exactly. And he kind of leaves a little bit begrudgingly because Cobb Vanth, shows up and it's kind of like he was overruled, kind of like, go sit back at the little kids' table at the adults are talking.
Exactly.
But Cobb Vanth asked about his starfighter, just like you said a minute ago. He asked about Grogu too. And Mando says, he's back with his own kind. Yeah. So that's too bad. I guess we both lost something we were fond of.
Yeah.
And he's Cobb Vanth's referring to his armor, which was Boba's armor, but it referred to Mando, losing Grogu. And Cobb Vanth says, I've been more careful without my armor, obviously.
Yeah. Mando says, how have you been? I haven't seen you since you gave up the armor. And just kind of offhand, Cobb says, I'm more careful.
So, pretty good.
Yeah, no joke.
So, if you're Cobb Vanth, you have to know Mando's here on business. And so Mando offers to buy him a drink. Yeah. They go to the same bar where they met initially. Same bartender, which his name is actually Tanti, Taanti. I was able to find a name for this character.
Okay, T-A.
So he's a Wakui, just like Hondo is. So that's his species.
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah. But let's see here. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead in my notes. So Vance doesn't, they kind of cut to mid conversation for between Mando and Cobb Vanth. He says, I don't understand what's in it for us. Right. Mando wants him, tells him, I want you to lead a garrison of his people. Reminds him that they helped take down the crate dragon. Right. They're good fighters, and there's lots of credits for in it for them.
Mm-hmm. So there's the incentive.
Yeah. And Vance says they already have peace, which is what they really wanted.
Right.
He said they don't want to fight after they took down the dragon.
Right.
And Mando says, "You're good for now, but we need good people to step up and fight before the spice comes through their parts too."
Well, his argument was the same as Boba Fett's with the crime syndicate families. You know, he said, they're going to take over. That there's no, we're going to have to.
Yeah, I mean, Boba's territory is just a starting point. They'll take the whole planet if they can.
Yeah. So his argument is the same with Cobb and Tonti. Keeps putting in, interjecting. He's obviously eavesdropping on the conversation and says, we don't want anything. We don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
This is what does he say? This is city dealings or something like that.
Yeah. He says this is a city folk fight.
It's a city folk fight. Exactly. So
Vance says it's not a problem while he's there. Yeah.
He's again it.
Yeah. Vance says it's about, the spice isn't a problem while I'm here. Why should we risk our lives for Boba Fett? And it's funny because I was thinking to myself, I was like, Mando, you got to sell this, man. You got to up the stakes. I think of, a great recruiting scene, iconic recruiting scene is Aragorn in Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, where he approaches the army of the dead and he asks them to fulfill
one of my favorites.
Fulfill their oath. What say you?
What say you?
And so anyway,
one of my favorite
it's great
scenes from the Lord of the Rings ever. Love that scene.
And so we're changing nerd subjects here. But anyway, you got to sell it. So anyway, it's funny because Mando refers to, the town name is Mospelgo, which that's how we know it. And the Tonti, is it Tonti or Cobb that says it's Freedom Town?
It's Tonti.
Okay, yeah,
it's Freetown.
It's Freetown, yeah. And
we changed the name; it suits us better.
Yeah, there you go.
More power to you. I think it's.
He says the town wants no part of the fight. Again, it's a city folk fight. Yeah. And Mando says,
Mando's having trouble selling this.
Yeah, big time.
He's struggling for the sale. He doesn't. He doesn't have the suave approach that Aragorn has.
Yeah. And the other thing too is, Aragorn had a bit more pull because he was, Isildur's heir. But Mando kind of says, is he speaking for you too? And so anyway,
Mando challenges him here.
Yeah, it basically says, is this what you say too, Marshall?
Yeah,
and
because I've never known you to back down from a fight.
Yeah,
back down from
weren't
bullies.
the time to back down. Yeah, from bullies, exactly.
Bullies, and he knows that's gonna strike.
That pulls the right string. Yeah, that finally pulls the right string.
It does. It does. Yeah.
And so anyway, he had Cobb reminded him that, hey, we're square.
Yeah.
But
and Mando says, yeah, we are. But
and what cracked me up is Cobb Vance line back to Mando after he says you aren't the type to but I didn't think you were the type to back down from bullies. He says, see, that's what I like about you, Mando. That big smile of yours lets you get away with anything. Obviously, he's never seen Mando's face,
right?
And so all he knows is the helmet. But it's a really funny line.
It is. That big smile lets you get away with anything. It was a great line. Yeah.
Mando reminds him. He said, "There's no easy way to ask for a favor." And so Vance says, things are tough around here.
Finally he says, okay, let's dispense with all the convincing and all the. Yeah. There's no easy way to ask for a favor. That's what, Mando finally says, I'm asking for a favor.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So Vance says things are tough around here, but he'll see what they could do. Mando nods and leaves in his ship. We see Vance and Tonti kind of looking on as he leaves. And Cobb Vanth tells him to get the word out. He wants all men and women of fighting age to come to town. He wants to have a meeting. And Tonti, he says, it's not our problem.
He's still.
Yeah. And Cobb Vanth says, no, but it might be after they hear what I have to say. So then the episode really picks up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's been a great episode up to this point, but then we
ain't done yet.
Oh no, we're not done yet.
Wait, there's more.
From the desert comes a stranger, just like the episode is titled. We see a figure walking across the desert. Okay, and like
shadowy figure.
Tatooine is not like it's the most inhospitable place you can imagine. It's straight desert.
Yeah.
And we see this cloaked figure wearing a duster far off. You can't really make out who he is yet. But the wind picks up. And the way they do this whole they do this whole interaction. And you've got almost like a weather vane type thing happen. The winds change and the music changes.
Yeah.
So it's complete change.
The writing and directing here is spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on.
So we see this figure off in the distance. The wind picks up, music changes. And Vant asks a citizen named Joe, she's kind of there working on some speeder bikes, have the people head inside for a spell. She asked if something's wrong, and he said, I hope not, but I'd rather err on the side of safety.
Yeah. Oh, Cobb's, I feel the hairs on Cobb's Vant are bristling. He's like, something a mess here. This is not going to be good.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing, too, how impractical is it to walk across Tatooine? Like, earlier in this series, we see the Tuskens dragging Boba across Tatooine. Like, nobody does this. Nobody travels Tatooine on foot. Like you do it in a speeder.
Did he park in the flats?
I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, we get the classic Western shot of.
No, where's the horse that he rode in on?
Yeah, exactly. We get that classic Western shot of boots walking, and you see the figure getting closer, much closer. Kind of showdown at high noon.
When did you realize who this was?
So I saw the duster, and I was like, we mentioned earlier in this, light bulb. I was like, this is the show's called Book of Boba Fett. So, at some point, are we going to see some other bounty hunters?
Yeah.
And so anyway, Dennis says, don't forget to add the episode 6 in the vid title. Yeah, good call.
Thanks, Dennis.
But so
the description.
So I saw the duster, and I was, and granted, I had this one spoiled for me a little bit, but I also knew it wasn't outside the realm of possibility. You have to watch, you got to stay on track with these shows, because if you hop on social media, either the official Star Wars site or the official Marvel site, they will ruin it for you. If you don't watch within the next 3 or 4 days, they'll have posted a character picture, and boom, there you go. You're like, hey, well, I guess that character showed up now.
Stumble across it,
and that's exactly what happened to me. And so I guess what I need to do for future shows is watch it the first time, just for pure entertainment value. And which, I mean, granted, my schedule's super busy right now, but I guess I need to watch the show and then double back a second time and take my notes on the second run.
And that's how I do it.
Yeah.
That's generally how
and I think that's how I did it for the Mando series too. Yeah. Granted, a lot of the Mando episodes were already out before we were, we caught up with chapter, season 2. So we ran through season 1, and I was able to watch all that without doing a YouTube show on it. But anyway, it's I had this one spoiled for me, but I also knew it wasn't outside the realm of possibility, but I was still fired up about it. So classic, it's
I knew who it was. This was not a spoiler, because I watched this thing. I did the midnight watch party on Adventures of Gonzo's channel, and a midnight watch party, 2 a.m. watch party Central Time. Yeah. And so I knew who it was, because we had talked about possibly seeing this character. Yeah,
well, I mean, we talked about Baaa-ack. We talked about, we'd mentioned Cad Bane. We talked about the other bounty hunters that you see in that episode, in the Empire Strikes Back scene.
Mhm.
that are all kind of lined up there. You know, Forlom, you know, Bosk,
Yeah.
Dengar, um,
A lot of options.
Zuckus. And so, you know, there's all these other bounty hunters that are notable.
Yeah.
But you know, Cad Bane, I was thrilled. So this is
Oh, yeah.
another character we haven't seen in live action form till now.
There you go.
Um, but yeah, we get that classic Western shot. It's you know, showdown at high noon type of vibe.
Oh,
And
bit.
I thought it must be Cad Bane, yet another character that's live action now, that we saw in the animated Clone Wars series. The citizens rush in, and the deputy comes out. And Vance
Yeah.
tells the deputy to let him handle it and to
Yeah.
get inside. And
Get
sure
inside.
enough, it's Cad Bane. We get that iconic voice. Cad Bane stops at a dueling, gunslinging distance.
He does.
And Cad Bane is a Duro. So, you know, for those that are, you know, unaware of his backstory, his reputation was being the galaxy's best, deadliest, and most
Deadly.
fearsome mercenary during the Clone Wars. So, you know, we see Django die in that fight on Geonosis,
Yeah.
and he gets beheaded by Mace Windu.
Mhm.
And anyway, from that point
He's
on,
portrayed by stuntman Dorian Kingi or Kenji, if I'm pronouncing that right. But that iconic voice from the Clone Wars is Corey Burton.
yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool.
And so, you know, pretty much from the time Django dies, I like Cad Bane's the guy. Like, if you want a job done,
Oh yeah, you call him.
it's Cad Bane. Yeah.
Yeah, his
Yeah, and I
reputation
agree.
precedes him.
So Adventures by D said, I noticed his huge hat for Clone Wars was shrunk down a bit for live action. Yeah,
We noticed that too.
we noticed that too. I would have liked for it to be a little bit bigger, but the way that they played this episode, I think it was a fitting size just because he was actually able to cover those eyes.
Right.
And then for people who are unfamiliar with the character, it's like, whoa, like he's got the red alien eyes. And so it's a bit of, still makes for a bit of a shocking reveal.
And he asked, you know, and he asks him, you know, Cobb asked him the marshal asked him asked him a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And one of them, you know, is who are you? And he still has his head down just to cover his eyes. And finally he looks up and there are these big, you know, and of course we know Cad Bane, so we know what's there. We know what's coming. But the deputy's like, whoa, you know, deputies. And I'm you know, do you think Cobb Vanth knows who he is? Does the marshal know who he is?
I don't think so. I doubt the marshals had many interactions off planet. So I'm not entirely sure he knows who Cad Bane is. I mean, and the Clone Wars, you have to remember their time has passed from the Clone Wars to now.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And
that's
so
true. He's older.
Yeah.
Cad Bane is older.
And the other thing too is, you know, in the Clone Wars animated series, there's a droid that's usually with Cad Bane that's named Toto 360, 360, I think maybe what it's. I can't remember how the numbers are. You know, it's like the whole C3PO deal. I'm not sure can't remember how his numbers are actually set, but Cad Bane just starts off the conversation with whatever Fett is paying you, we'll match. We'll match, and all you've got to do is stay put and let things play out.
Yeah.
And the deputy interjects and says, "Hey, the marshal ain't for sale." And Vanth Cobb Vanth kind of gives him a really glance.
Yeah, it's like I told you to get back inside, and it's really, you know, it's at this point.
Oh, I've got all the dialogue written down because it's so good.
Okay, go ahead and read it because it is excellent.
But Vanth says, "I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name." And Cad Bane raises his head, and you see the rest of his blue face with the kind of, you know, what the tubes going into either side, and those you know, very striking red eyes. And Cad Bane says, "I'd be careful where I was sticking my nose if I were you." And Vance says, "Is that a friendly advice?"
Pointed teeth.
Yeah, or a threat. And the citizens start kind of peeking out at the confrontation.
Yeah.
And Cad Bane reminds him. So the other thing too, it's worth acknowledging is Cad Bane remains he maintains his air of mystery through the whole interaction. He never once gives a straight up answer to anything
does not.
that Cobb Vanth asked him.
Yeah.
But he tells him Boba Fett is a cold-blooded killer who worked for the Empire. And Cobb Vanth says, you tell your spice runners Tatooine is closed for business. This planet's seen enough violence.
Cad Bane, who has a reputation of being the deadliest bounty hunter in the galaxy.
Yeah. As a peace free.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like his hands were completely clean.
Yeah. I don't know. It's the pot calling the kettle black.
Oh,
there's a Star Wars, there's a Star Wars phrase for that I should have reminded myself of.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's saying, well, Boba Fett's a cold-blooded killer that, that worked for the Empire. And it's like, okay, that did carry a whole lot of weight coming from you, buddy.
And so here's a quote that makes me wonder how long Cad Bane has been aware of Cobb Vanth and how long he's been watching them, because he responds to Cobb with, "You should have never given up your armor."
Yeah. It's like Bane knows the whole story. He knows the whole history. So how does he know that? Yeah,
I guess maybe Pike's filled him in. Who knows?
Yeah,
but
it's like he based on what the sheriff says here, you tell your people that, Tatooine is closed for business.
Yeah.
This planet's seen enough violence. And it's like Cad Bane in his mind says, okay, I'll take that as a no.
Yeah.
And then, he continues on and says, you should never have given up your armor. So it's up really fast. Escalates quickly.
Oh yeah. And so we get, sorry, I'm trying to get caught up. I got a 10-minute warning too. I'm running out of time.
Sorry.
But Bane reaches toward his blaster and pushes back his jacket. And Vanth moves his hand to his blaster holster, and we get showdown shots of both.
Everybody shoots.
Very Western-esque.
Right.
Vanth and Bane are kind of sizing each other up, seeing who's going to move first. The deputy's super shaky, very, very much in Western form. And he's also reaching for his blaster.
He is.
And he ends up distracting Vanth. Bane and Vanth both draw, and Cad Bane hits Cobb Vanth in the right shoulder and takes him down.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Cad Bane goes to town on the deputy, blasts him 3 times.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to slide this in here. I had to make this joke. Cad Bane shot the marshal, and he also shot the deputy. Had to slide that joke in there.
Bob Marley would be proud of you.
So Cad Bane reminds them and anybody within listening distance that Tatooine belongs to the Syndicate.
Yeah.
As long as the spice keeps running, everyone will be left alone. So, he pivots
on his heel and heads back out into the
and he's gone.
Yeah.
So he makes his way off. Nobody messes with him anymore because he's a bad dude. Yeah. So the other thing too I wanted to mention is a little side note here. I'm pretty sure Cad Bane probably was the one that killed the Tuscans and framed that Nikto speeder bike gang.
Oh, yeah.
So I haven't seen episode 7, and I don't know if he confesses to that or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's probably what happened, because even Fennec was like, seriously, like you really think that that the Tuscans were killed by Nikto speeder bikers? Yeah.
Highly unlikely,
so,
she says.
Cad Bane exits as mysteriously as he arrived, walking off into the desert. The townspeople come check on Cobb Vanth. They'll get stims, get a doctor, get med pack. We see resolve in Taunty's eyes. He's like, oh, man, I didn't want to fight before, but now they've got something to fight for. This is kind of a,
it's a wake-up call for him.
Yeah, it's a wake-up call. Very much reminiscent for me of Agent Coulson dying in the Avengers.
Yeah.
It really galvanizes the group and gives them some resolve. So now Freetown has something to fight for, something to rally them.
That's right.
We see the scene cut to Garsa Fwip's cantina, and the Pikes bring in a Camtono. They take a seat at a table. They're refused the cleaning service by the attendants for their helmets. Garsa's confused, but kind of watching them exit. And sorry, I'm kind of going fast forward
No,
because
go ahead. Go.
I've got 7 minutes, but you can
Yeah,
continue talking about it as long as you like.
go ahead.
Garza's confused, watching him exit. The droid says, "Oh wait, you forgot your Camtono," and the place explodes.
Boom.
Just boom. Takes it. Just really. I mean, it's. There's no way anybody lived. Surely not, because it's a substantial explosion. And I thought, because I was like, okay, this is very strange. When they walked in, I thought, okay, maybe they're doing a spice deal. And then whenever they left the Camtono and I see the droid pick it up, I thought, this place about to blow.
It's not going to be good. Yeah.
So we see the scene cut again back to Luke's Jedi Temple. Here, real quick, that's the Pikes making their first shot.
It is
saying, "Hey, we
not even across the bow. That's their first shot.
This is our territory now." They're marking their territory.
Yeah.
So again, the scene cuts back to Luke's Jedi Temple, constructed with the stacked rocks. It kind of looks like an egg/dome shape.
Yeah.
We see Luke and Grogu are meditating. Luke sits down and unwraps the bag from Mando and pulls out a tiny Beskar chainmail shirt that's Grogu sized, which is really cute. Tells him the Mandalorian wanted him to have it. He says, "The Mandalorian wanted you to have this, but before you take it, I will give you a choice. This is a lightsaber. It belonged to my," and he pulls out the lightsaber, and he says, "It belonged to my teacher, Master Yoda, and now I'm offering it to you. But you may choose only one. If you choose the armor, you'll return to your friend, the Mandalorian. However, you'll be giving in to attachment to those you love and forsaking the way of the Jedi. But if you choose the lightsaber, you'll be the first student in my academy, and I will train you to be a great Jedi. It will take you many ways to master the ways of the Force, and you may never see the Mandalorian again, because Grogu, a short time for you is a lifetime for someone else. Which do you choose?" And so that's where the episode kind of leaves off. A cliffhanger.
Question mark.
Life. This is a life and path defining choice for Grogu.
Crossroads.
As he looks at the chainmail, the Beskar chainmail, looks at the lightsaber, looks back at the chainmail, and looks up at Luke. And it's quite the decision to be made.
Yeah, it is. It's Padawan, or do I return to the Mandalorian?
So real quick before I have to run, I want to thank everybody for being here. Sorry, I'm cutting ahead. I'll let Mom finish out with the news and everything. But Aunt Susan and Aunt Joy, thanks for watching our content, supporting us. Jillian, Kylie, and other family members, thank you. Thank you to the mods for keeping our chat family friendly. Thank you to Adventures by D, Daryl, Pam's Fam, the Disney Baker, Garrett Bennett, Kevin Theme Park Adventure, Brian K, It's Joey's World, My Backyard Science, and Dennis Algazi. And if I missed you, I'm sorry. Do the best I can to kind of watch the chat, make sure that thank you for being here. But thanks to everybody for being here, and thanks to those that watch on the replay as well. Let us know, if you enjoyed this episode, what you thought. We have a blast talking about this every week. Join us next Thursday for the season finale of the Book of Boba Fett.
Episode 7.
Yes, I think I've still had like 3 minutes left. Anyway, you could go ahead, Mom, if there's anything you wanted to comment on that I just mentioned. But I'm going to go ahead and grab my laptop, and I'll cut off whenever I need to.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, just some observations. Episodes 5 and 6. Love the information that we get in episode 5 from the armorer. Again, great backstory, what Mando's been doing all this time, and how he comes, to be back on Tatooine and there to help Boba Fett. Episode 5 and 6 have brought back so many great characters, that we just loaded, with great characters. It's great to see R2D2, Ahsoka, Luke, Grogu, Marshall Cobb Vanth, the armorer, in episode 5, the armorer and Paz Vizsla, and of course Cad Bane. So these two episodes just kept hitting us with what's going to happen next. Edge of your seat stuff. I love that. I love this one. This was probably my favorite. I think of all of them. I think this is my favorite.
Yeah.
This one got 9.5 stars on IMDb, and
Wow.
that's the highest rating. Chapter 5 got 9.4. And so this one got a 9.5 out of 10 stars on IMDb. A lot of other people obviously, love this one too. And a lot of it, is obviously because of the characters that
Oh, yeah.
it produces. I love the gentleness, again, with which Ahsoka deals with Mando. She knows how strong their bond is, and she still lets him make choices. But
Thanks,
I
Dennis.
love that.
Yeah.
I love the interaction between Mando and Grogu, or
Yeah.
between Grogu and
Luke.
Luke. Excuse me, Luke and Grogu. Love that. Great stuff there. And they obviously the CGI for Luke has improved greatly. I kept looking at Luke and thinking, "Oh my gosh, this
it's awesome,
amazing!"
So real quick before I jump out, they hired somebody did an improvement of the deep fake, of that, how they actually had it in the season finale of Mandalorian season 2, and somebody did an improvement of that, and Lucasfilm went and actually hired the guy. So that explains that. But anyway, may the force be with you. Don't forget to do our normal sign off, Mom.
I will.
But thanks everybody. Hope you'll have a great week. Awesome time talking to you. Y'all have a good one.
Yeah. Bye, William.
Love you, Mom. Bye.
Love you. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here, guys. Just a couple more observations. This obviously is most people's favorite episode, and the CGI, they call it the deep fake with Luke, where they make him look younger, is absolutely fantastic. It's great. It's and it's nice because obviously we want to see Luke again, so that they have really perfected that is really cool. Obviously, Mark Hamill is voicing Luke, and just fantastic to see him. Great for Star Wars fans. The duel between Cad Bane and Marshall Vance is absolutely epic. It's thanks, Daryl. Sweet. But yeah, that duel between Marshall Vance and Cad Bane is amazing. The way they bring Cad Bane back into the series, or introduce him, for the live action is really, really cool. With the whole Western shootout, duel thing, and his great voice, and I think they did a really good job with him, and with how he looks in the live action. The makeup is pretty much spot on. I think some were critical. Star Wars fans might have had some problem with kind of the way they did his nose or something. I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. Actually, I was going to say that Cad Bane was loosely modeled after Lee Van Cleef's bad guy character in The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, which is an Eastwood film. And it's very true. He even looks like him. Let's see. Let me see if I can share this with you and show you a picture of Lee Van Cleef, and you can see what he looks like. Oh dear. I'm locked up, guys. Hang on. Here we go. Oh, let me see if I can. Oh, well, I was going to try to share that picture of Lee Van Cleef, and my computer is not liking it. And I think I locked up for just a minute, but anyway, you can check out, find pictures of Lee Van Cleef, and you can tell because Cad Bane actually looks like him. So check that out. My computer is not having that right now, so I won't do that. But yeah, this is just a great, great, great episode. Garza Whip, we have to assume that Garza Whip and, all of her people are probably dead from, when the sanctuary exploded. The Pikes, that's kind of, they threw down the gauntlet with that one. And to leave no doubt, I guess, that the war has started. So, I love this episode. I thought it was great. I have watched chapter 7. William has not watched chapter 7. I have, and I loved it. Join us next week for chapter 7, and we'll cover the wrap up for season 1 of the Book of Boba Fett. In quick Disney news, guys, the Obi-Wan series on Disney Plus drops May the 25th. We got a date on it. Really excited. Hayden Christensen has signed on to play Anakin, and there's a short trailer on Disney Plus. So Ewan McGregor, in this trailer says that it's really great that he has, he's been reunited with Anakin for the Kenobi Star Wars series on Disney Plus. That's dropping May the 25th. Love it. Cannot wait. The Mandalorian season 3 is also in production. No official word on the release date. October, November, December, maybe somewhere on that. And no word on a date yet for the Ahsoka series, which I'm really excited about. Also, guys, I guested on Adventures by D's YouTube channel on Saturday the 12th. I saw Adventures by D, Dave in the chat. Thanks for joining us, guys. And check out their Boba Fett series wrap up that I did with them last Saturday. It's really good. Dave's son Dean has a lot of really good Star Wars knowledge and brings a lot to the table, in commentary on all that. So check out Adventures by D, their Boba Fett series, and I was guest this past Saturday for their series wrap up. And Adventures by D guested on Hitchhiker Chat this past Tuesday. So check out that episode. Really enjoyed having you guys on. Dean and Chris. Adventures by D has a fantastic YouTube channel. Check them out, guys. They do a lot of theme parks. A lot of lives from theme parks. They live in the Atlanta area, and so they get to Dollywood and Six Flags Over Georgia. A lot of the theme parks in that area. So check them out for sure. Really good content. I'm in Hot Springs this week, guys. That's why my background's different. I'm in Hot Springs, Arkansas. I'll be doing a relaxing stream tomorrow morning, a walk around the lake. And just like I said, just something, relaxing. That'll be at 8:00 Central, 9:00 Eastern tomorrow morning. And there's a thumbnail up already for that. So check that out. I'm also at 2 p.m. tomorrow. I'll be down on Bathhouse Row. Historic Bathhouse Row here in Hot Springs. Hot Springs is just a really neat vacation spot. There are very few. I don't know of any actually towns that still have the old bathhouses from the turn of the century and a little after that, and the history that exists here in Hot Springs. So join me at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, and we're going to walk down Central Avenue, explore the bathhouses, and maybe do some shopping. Check out the Arlington Hotel, which is a little over 100 years old. A lot of history in that one. It's very beautiful. So that at 2 p.m., Bathhouse Row, the Arlington and Central Avenue, and then at 8 a.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, the lake stream, just walking around the lake here. Just really pretty. What's Brewing with the Bones? Jillian's series will go live this Saturday, and that'll be at 8:30 a.m. Central, 9:30 a.m. Walt Disney World time or Eastern. And she's going to give you her best tips on budgeting for your next Disney trip. So we're looking forward to seeing her on that. We also wanted to always shout out to Dean at theliveplace.com. It is basically a family-friendly our TV guide for family-friendly live streaming. So check out that content anytime to find a family-friendly live streamer, and not just Disney live streamers, but some other family-friendly content as well. That's the liveplace.com. And we appreciate you guys so much for joining us today and in the chat. We appreciate it, Dennis. Thanks so much for for being here. Daryl, thanks so much. We appreciate you for being here. And let's see. Let's see what else here. I'm catching up in the chat. Thank you. Appreciate it. We appreciate it. Again, join us next week, guys. We'll cover chapter 7. We'll wrap this thing up. And if you're on Team Replay, we love our Team Replay. William went over, everybody that's in the chat. We always appreciate you guys being here so much and just, talking with you. I can't think of any other announcements. So I'm going to wrap this up here. We love this. We love this, this episode. I think chapter 6 is my favorite episode. So check out chapter 7. Also, we always recommend the Clone Wars animated series and also Rebels animated series for Star Wars fans who want more content, a deeper dive into gives you more information on what happened during the Clone Wars, just more Star Wars content. We recommend those too. So thanks, guys. We really appreciate it. And at the Hitchhiking Bones YouTube channel, there's always room for one more. So please hurry back. Thanks so much, guys. We appreciate it. Till the spire, travelers. May the force be with you all.